What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a Hasbro Star Wars Vintage Collection market update. The TVC line's death has been prematurely called. There are some really nice sales prices here over the last week or so. One of them just happened today. That was a big shocker in terms of the final sales price, but we've got a pretty nice range. Everything from TVC 1.0 unpunched to a few graded items, all the way to some of the more recent releases, so we can talk about a pretty nice wide price range. And we're going to start with VC08, the Revenge of the Jedi Darth Vader. This is a nice unpunched example with the prototype armor Boba Fett offer sticker. It looked to be pretty clean overall. I'd guess an 85 or an 85 plus. Hard to tell exactly what it would grade at, but it looked really nice. This one sold for $150.99 plus $10 shipping. So not bad, not bad. That's a 162-ish. That to me seems like a pretty strong price for that Revenge card. And here was another Revenge. This was Boba Fett VC09. And this one also had the Boba Fett offer sticker. And again, it had the paperwork inside. So this was the retail release, and it was punched. But still, that one sold for $200. So nice signs that there are, still some signs of life here with some of these early TVC. This one was not even that perfect. I mean, it had a little crunch there in the lower right-hand corner on the back of it. And, nevertheless, it's still sold at $200. So two really strong price points. Another one that continues to defy the odds with regard to prices, and that's the Canadian VC20 Yoda. So this is the very difficult to find alternate card back with the Empire Strikes Back Yoda. It has the Revenge of the Sith action figure inside, and it's got the multi-language name pill. This was unpunched as well. So very, very tough to find some of these Canadian card backs unpunched, and Yoda especially, in terms of retail releases, this is the creme de la creme, and it was listed for 2,787 Canadian dollars. Best offer was accepted. The best offer accepted was 2,300 Canadian dollars. That translates to 1,813 US dollars. So just a massive number. It looked to be in pretty good shape here. Let's take a look at some of the photos. You can see how sharp those corners were. Just a really incredible sales price. And I think that we're going to see this one start to consistently hit $2,000 plus as, as this card backs. I don't know what the right word is. The mythology of this card back continues to grow. It's just got one of those cards that I think that it's easily overtaken anything else in terms of the standard retail releases. Obviously, you got the Jar Jar and Carbonite, you got the Mouse Droid and Salacious Crumb, but in terms of actual retail releases, I don't know what else is going to compete with this. I mean, obviously Miscards, and we got one a little bit later on in this video that was a pretty eye-opening Miscard. But in terms of standard retail releases, this continues to command the biggest premium in the secondary market. A couple of VC43 Commander Grees sold. I believe both of them were punched. This was a punched example. It came with a sliding acrylic case. Very nice, clean example overall. Got some multiple shots of the blister there. It looked to be very clean. That one sold for $187. $187. That's the U.S. card. With shipping to the U.S., this was over in the U.K., but with the shipping to the U.S., that would have been kind of in the $250 range. But probably someone in the U.K. bought that one. And, a very nice example. You can see a little bit of kind of wave down there at the bottom of the card there. But it looked like the price sticker on the back had been kind of manipulated too. So it did have some issues, but nothing tremendously bad, but probably like an 85 overall grade. This one looked to be in even better condition. This was a sale over here in the U.S. Had just some minor edge wear. It was punched, but that one sold for $116 plus $6 shipping. So I think, they were both U.S. cards, but one of them was sold over in the U.K. So I think this is a case of the currency conversion and the strong Great British Pound, and the fact that it was probably someone over in the UK that wanted the US card that was, willing to pay a little bit more. Because over here in the US, for a punched example of VC43 Commander Gree, it's not terribly expensive as this price shows. But both of those sold kind of very, very recently. This one sold yesterday. This was VC58 Ayla Secura. And, we obviously Just covered Aayla Secura on the Clone Wars card back, the new Tartakovsky animated style Clone Wars card. But this original issue, Aayla Secura, seems to be kind of hovering right around that 90 to 110 range. That seems to be the going rate. That was a nice unpunched example, though. But anyway, that one sold for on 13 bids for about $95 plus $5 shipping. So about $100, and that's kind of been the going rate lately. A couple of prototype V61 Boba Fett mailaways sold, and the price points continue to stay pretty strong. I mean, this had kind of been hovering around $130 for the longest time, but it seems to be going up now with everything else Boba Fett. This one sold for $155 after accounting for shipping expenses, and that came with the mailer box. And then this one came with the mailer box. That one sold for $160 plus $10 shipping, so $170 overall. So it's moved up a little bit, not terribly, not a huge amount, but it has moved up relative to where it has been kind of selling. I mean, gosh, for about 6 to 9 months, it didn't move. It sold for $130, and that was the going rate. But lately, it's been kind of creeping above that price point. And speaking of creeping higher, this one continues to go higher. This is VC64, the Princess Leia in her slave outfit. This was the Revenge of the Jedi example. And correct me if I'm wrong, but this one has to have been the SDCC version because it didn't have the paperwork inside. There was no offer sticker. So this one was obviously beat up a little bit. So, but, again, given that this is probably the SDCC version, maybe I'm wrong there, but it's got the multi-language age thing on the back. So this was the Canadian version, I assume. And you guys who are more knowledgeable than me can correct me on this. I don't know if they made the Star Wars Death Star playset SDCC exclusive in both the US as well as Canadian versions, but this is a Canadian card back, but it doesn't have any paperwork inside the blister to signify that this was the retail release. But nevertheless, that sold for 230 Great British Pounds or $308 US. But this one was not clean. It was not clean. It had quite a bit of edge wear on it. Versus this one was very, very clean. And this one again was the Revenge of the Jedi. Also, it looks like it's the same card back. So this is the same card back, just cleaner and unpunched, versus had some edge wear and punched. But that one sold for $440 plus $10 shipping here in the U.S. So $450 is now kind of a going rate for an ungraded, unpunched, high grade condition one. Well, I take that back because this one clearly has something going on here. I don't know if they took the sticker off or what, but it's interesting because this one does not have any paperwork inside, yet it's got residue that looks like, a sticker was removed from the card back. So I don't know. I clearly don't know what I'm talking about as it relates to the Canadian version for this card back, but someone was still willing to pay quite a bit of money for it despite that kind of sticker residue on there. That probably would come off, I assume. Some of you experts out there who've used like the butane lighter fluid, stuff like that to pull off that sticker residue can probably get that off pretty easily. Here was a VC98 Grand Moff Tarkin. This one, again, continues to hold its value pretty well. Hasn't really seen a big drop like some of the others that we saw last fall. VC98, a nice unpunched example. That sold for $180 plus $9 shipping, so let's call it about $190. And then a second one also sold. This one sold. It was listed for $175, and it actually sold for $150. Was the actual accepted offer, plus $5 shipping. I thought that was a pretty good deal relative to the other one, but this one did have a little bit of I forgot about that. That one did have a very, very slight ding on the blister, and kudos to the seller for showing that, but it was very slight. It looks a lot worse in that photo than I think it presents here, but kudos to that seller for making sure that was very clearly denoted in the auction. You can see a little bit of crunch down there at the bottom. So I don't know, maybe that's not a great deal because this is probably at best an 80 grade. But this one looked a lot cleaner. And again, you're going on fewer photos, so you don't know what you're getting. But anyway, 150 to 180, depending on your condition and how picky you are on condition, for an ungraded Grand Moff Tarkin is kind of the going rate right now. I really love this one, and it's one that's definitely gone up quite a bit. This is the exact version I have with the Darth Maul offer. I think that's the one I have. I can't remember. I can't keep it all straight anymore. Here's another one that's in my collection I really like. That's VC100 Starkiller. We've seen a lot of recent kind of rumblings about some of these other re-releases that are coming, like Shea Vizsla and some of the Obi-Wans and maybe a few Stormtroopers Stormtrooper commanders, lots of different figures that are on the way. But this was VC100 Starkiller, an unpunched mint example was how it was labeled. And that one sold for $237 plus another $25 shipping. So about, let's call it $260 after shipping. And it did look very nice and clean, though. And that had 13 bids. It closed 2 days ago. So that's one that continues to hold its value. And I'm shocked that we have not seen any rumors or announcements for another Gaming Greats line where they would feature Starkiller. It just seems like a no-brainer to bring him out in the Gaming Greats line. Another one that has bounced off the lows is Nicto. This is VC99. The Nicto, this one also had the Darth Maul offer sticker, and it looked very clean. That one sold for $135 plus $6 shipping. That's kind of bounced off the lows that we saw. It got down to kind of about $100 after being around 130 to 140. It dropped down to about 100, and now it's back up to about 140. So I can't predict what some of these the Nicto and the Weequay are ones that seem to bounce around in that $100 to $150 range. And it's just anybody's guess as to where the final sales prices will be and who's looking at the time. But for a nice unpunched example, that gives you a pretty wide price range. But that's, at least right now for Nicto, $140 is the going rate. Oh, we had a couple of Ahsokas. I know it's not a market update without covering Ahsoka because she's had such a wild ride here lately. But Ahsoka is back up. Oh my goodness gracious. We saw a couple of VC 102 Ahsokas, one of them graded, one of them not graded. This was the ungraded example, but it was unpunched and very mint. It looked really nice. And this was the US card back, again, unpunched. It looked really nice and clean, though. Lots of good photos. That one sold for $680 plus $10 shipping. And as you guys remember, we talked about the wild ride that Ahsoka has been on since her reissue was announced. Pre-announcement of that reissue, we saw examples that were very regularly selling for over $1,000. The highest price I saw was a Collector Archive Services 95 that hit 17 or 1,800 US dollars. Then it dropped down to like 300 to 350 was the going rate. Well, it looks like it's bounced off that low that we saw towards the end of last year and is back up to around $690 for an ungraded US card unpunched example. And even crazier was this one. This one literally just closed about 10 minutes ago. And this was another unpunched example. It was graded 9.0 by AFA on the modern scale. And it sold at auction for $1,050 US dollars plus $25 shipping. So almost $1,100 for an AFA 9.0 US card unpunched. 25 bids. So the demise of Ahsoka has been greatly exaggerated. And while the price is not nearly where it has been, it's not at the peaks, but it definitely has bounced off those lows. And clearly folks are not gun shy about paying these high prices despite the fact that they know the reissue's coming. So it's just a very surprising number there. Another one that really surprised me was this one. This was a 9.25 graded Tatooine skiff. So this is the vehicle graded by AFA on the modern scale, 9.25. And I was shocked by that sales price. This sold for $330 after accounting for shipping. Very pretty example, don't get me wrong. But, I couldn't give away my my graded Imperial troop transport that is a much larger vehicle than this Tatooine skiff. I had it priced at almost exactly the same number. And someone did finally get it. They got a great deal on it. I sold it for $300 shipped. But this Tatooine skiff sold very quickly at $330 shipped. So congratulations, number one, to Matt for getting my Imperial troop transport at what I think was a great price. But this was a really nice example of the Tatooine skiff that sold for a very high premium there. Another one that is surprisingly moving up, and I don't know whether it's because it was short-packed or it's because maybe a second manufacturing wave never actually materialized on the market, but ARC Trooper 5s has been very quietly moving up in price. And, what normally had been a $15 or $20 resale figure has been consistently selling for $45 to $60 now. This one was over in the UK. It sold for $43 US or 32 Great British pounds plus shipping. And there was another one here in the US. This one in the US sold for $62 plus free shipping. So You guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I'm guessing VC-172 must have been short packed, or the second wave of because of logistical issues or something. Maybe that second batch of ARC Trooper 5s just never hit the market, but that one continues to go up in price a fair amount. Going back to the Bad Batch 4-pack for a second, that one has had a precipitous decline as expected, now that those have very readily become available within the U.S. And thank you again to Tom Hogan for sending me his a Bad Batch example 4-pack. I've already got mine out at Collector Archive Services, but this one just sold for $75 plus $10 shipping, so that's $85. This is just a beautiful item. I really love it, and the box art on this is just incredible. So really happy to have my example over at grading right now. We'll probably see that sometime in 2027, but look forward to showing that to you on the channel. But anyway, this one, was selling for $200 plus for a while now, and then it dropped down to $150, and then $100. Well, now it's $85, and this is another one that was $86 free shipping. So for those of you who are still looking for it, even on the secondary market, it's really not that expensive relative to even what the original sales price was over on Amazon. So I think part of it is because it's not that difficult to find mint examples, since Hasbro very wisely sold these in a mailer box, which kudos to them for doing that again. But for those of you who don't have it yet, I don't think you're going to be paying a tremendous amount for it, because they seem to be everywhere now. But that seems to be the going rate, is 75. Well, let's call it $85 or so after accounting for shipping. I gotta mention this one, and several of you did alert me to this one, so thank you for those of you who shared this information with me. There were 4 or 5 of you who sent me the notification on this one, but this one sold over in Europe. This was in Spain, and this was a miscard, TVC miscard of Bib Fortuna on the Lobot Empire Strikes Back TVC card back. So obviously these two figures were in the same wave, so you can understand how, I guess, these two ended up together. But this is a pretty incredible TVC miscard because it's 2 OG characters, right? It's from the original trilogy, but it looks really awesome, these two together. And it was listed, I don't know how it happened. It was listed as an auction, but I think someone paid whatever the asking price was for it. But the winning bid, or the price paid, was 1,900 euros, or approximately 1,600 pounds. That translates to $2,140 US for that miscard. So just an incredible sales price. Again, another data point that shows that these miscards continue to command massive premiums relative to where these used to be. And I am just shocked by that sales price, but I guess I shouldn't be, just given some of the other sales prices we've seen for these factory error miscards. But just another data point for you guys, $2,140 US, or about 1,600 pounds, took that miscard home. The Vintage Collection Clone Wars Tartakovsky animated figures. I got a couple of data points here for just the clone troopers, or excuse me, the ARC Trooper and the ARC Trooper Captain. This was a bundle deal. Those sold for $90 plus $10 shipping. So let's call it $100. That's on the resale market. Again, I know that a lot of you are chomping at the bit to get these. And on that note, I want to say a big shout out to one of my Patreon supporters, Ryan B. I ask that those subscribers who have been with my channel for a while, that you keep him in your thoughts. He's going through some stuff right now. I'm certainly not one to divulge any kind of personal information, but I do want to just let Ryan know that I'm thinking about you, man. And I appreciate, he reached out to me saying, hey, I've got to stop being a Patreon. Well, given everything you're going through, Ryan, don't worry about it. All right. You got way more important things to worry about than being my Patreon supporter. And you are an honorary member right now with everything that you're going through personally. So my thoughts are with you. And I hope that the rest of my subscriber base will keep Ryan B in his thoughts and prayers. But anyway, I know a lot of you, like Ryan, are chomping at the bit to get this animated Clone Wars wave. I would just say be patient, because we're going to see these everywhere. I mean, just like everything else, they eventually hit the U.S. market. But at least on eBay, this was in Rhode Island. Somebody had those in hand, and they sold for $100 for just those two, which is pretty high. I mean, for me, I had them shipped from the UK, and admittedly it was courtesy of Boss Bounty, but I paid $120 shipped for the wave. And I think that was friend prices, don't get me wrong. But I mean, you know, these two, just for the two of them, for $100, I think you can do better than that. I think if you're patient, you'll be able to get the whole wave for $150 or less. And then also, I just wanted to really quickly mention again the Razor Crest. I know we've talked to death about that lately, but I will say that it seems like the new going rate. I saw several data points that were in the $800 range, and a number of you did also mention that Big Bad Toy Store had those for resale on their website for $800, and they sold those out immediately. They bought some for resale. But even on eBay now, you're finding them selling for less than that. This one just sold for $650 plus $35 shipping. So let's call that $685. That's about the lowest I've seen. I saw a few data points around that $700 price point, but it seems like that $700 to $800 price point, it's where it's settling out now in terms of a floor. And as a number of you have mentioned, this will probably bounce back up. There's going to be a lot of people that are buying it now for their own personal collection. And as those kind of collectors take those off the market, so to speak, that's another kind of Razor Crest that's not within the quote-unquote sellable population, right? They're keeping those for their own personal collections. So, you know, down the line, yes, I do agree that the prices will kind of go back up slowly. But I think in the short term, we're going to see them kind of settle out right now at $700 to $800. I still don't think we'll ever see the $2,000 to $3,000 that the sale barge has gotten, but who knows? Maybe we do. If the Mandalorian continues to have the mainstream success that it does, then yeah, I mean, all it's going to do is reel in new collectors and reel in new high deep pocketed, high priced kind of collectors that are willing to pay the resale prices for that Razor Crest to have it as part of their collection. But I at least wanted to show you guys where the floor seems to be, and that seems to be about $685, $700 to about $800. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please consider subscribing to all my existing subscribers as well as my Patreon supporters. Thanks so much for making this channel happen, and I'll be back soon.